Hello, everyone. As Irina said, my name is Marko Radivojević. I'm very glad to be here. Hopefully, you enjoyed all the previous talks today or the talks you have attended. And I can only hope to keep up the pace with everyone else. I'm going to talk to you about mindfulness, which is basically an ancient concept that is maybe even more popular today than it ever was before. And this is going to be a bit of a snapshot of what mindfulness is actually, and how does mindfulness practice look like, both formal and informal practice, and what are the benefits of practicing mindfulness, or not only practicing, but only being more mindful in everyday life. So what is mindfulness actually? And mindfulness, there are many ways to define it, but the essence is pretty much the same. And I have chosen these two definitions, or maybe I can say descriptions, because it is more, this is more a thing, mindfulness is more of a thing that has many different ways to describe it. And those two I have chosen for basically two reasons. First reason is that they are attributed to two of probably the most important people in the evolution of the concept of mindfulness. And the second reason is because in these two definitions or descriptions, there are three features that are highlighted that are probably the most closely associated with the concept of mindfulness. And I will shortly say a couple of words about those features. So the first definition or description is actually attributed to Buddha himself. And Buddha says simply that mindfulness is seeing things as they are right now. And the second definition or description is attributed to John Kabat-Zinn, who is a man who is widely regarded as someone who took mindfulness out of the Buddhist tradition and implemented or adapted it to our contemporary context. And he's also a founder of a mindfulness-based stress reduction program. I don't know, I guess some of you may have heard of it. And John Kabat-Zinn says that mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So if we take a closer look, or as Kabat-Zinn says, if we pay purposeful attention to those two definitions, we can actually see that they refer to the exact same thing, just using different words, different verbal markers. So if we compare them, you can see that in the first one, seeing things, it's maybe a bit broader, but in the second one, it's actually paying attention on purpose, right? Purposeful attention. So purposeful attention is one of the key features of mindfulness. As they are, can be compared to this in the second definition, non-judgmentally, right? So what does non-judgmentally mean? It means basically that we are looking at things, we are thinking about things as they are, we're not valuing them, not making any strong distinction between things. And the third feature is right now in the first definition, or in the present moment in Kabat-Zinn's definition, which is maybe something that is most closely related to the concept of mindfulness. So present moment centeredness, or the awareness of the present moment. Those are only three features. There are many others, and there are many other definitions that highlight those other features. But for the purposes of this presentation, I think this is more than enough. And actually, I think maybe in my personal opinion, these three are maybe the most important ones. for mindfulness practice, it is not essential to have a certain theoretical background. Actually, mindfulness practice is very nice because it is very short, very practical, and very efficient. And the result of this short, practical, and efficient practice is grandiose, basically. It's a very stable, present, focused individual, open to all kinds of experiences, basically open-minded, and other people. The thing with mindfulness practice, on the one hand, okay, it is excellent if we have our backgrounds, if we know our stuff about mindfulness. But on the other hand, it is only necessary if you want to practice it. It's important. The most important thing is actually to just follow the instructions. And every exercise has its own instructions. And it comes, when you speak about formal exercises, we'll see the examples later on. Besides the instructions for a particular exercise, there are also instructions for how to sit during formal mindfulness exercises. But the fact is, and what I wanted to say here, is that it is very, very important just to follow the instructions and to relax, and you will get there. You will get there in time. And as you can see here, also mindfulness is viewed as a muscle. And what does that mean? Basically, it means that, as with muscles, the more you practice it, the better you get at it, right? Or with muscles, the stronger muscle gets, which can be also said in a different way: practice makes it perfect. And that's another point to make about the importance of practice for becoming more mindful. That is I highlighted the importance of practice here. There are certain attitudes or attitudinal foundations, as they say in the literature, which are related to theory, but which are actually just very simply described, which actually help you to start the practice itself, help you in a way. It can be said that they help you open your mind to the practice. Why? Well, maybe because the practice of mindfulness and what are we actually doing while practicing is maybe a bit strange to the way that we are used to think about things. So what are those attitudes that we should think about, or maybe have before starting our practice? These are also closely related to some of the features of mindfulness, the characteristics that we didn't mention with our definitions. So you can also get a sense of what mindfulness is while reading these. The first attitude is non-judgmental attitude, so non-judging basically, and it means that we should observe the present moment clearly, or as it is, just simply put. So we should just be in the moment. That means non-judging attitude. That is meant by non-judging attitude. Beginner's mind is maybe something that is the most closely related to what I use to describe these attitudes. So open-mindedness, and that means that we should observe whatever is happening in that present moment without any expectations. So no future, no past, just the present moment that we're in right now. So basically, we should have an open mind to whatever comes in the next moment, etc. Non-striving is another attitude, and it is maybe the most paradoxical thing about mindfulness. So non-striving, as you can see here, it refers to the liberation from trying to achieve success, which is strange because I mentioned the results. So there is something that waits for us, but if we want to get to the results, we should not think about them. Because if we think about them, we're not in the present moment. And if we're not in the present moment, we are not going to achieve the results. So it is a bit strange, and that's why I mentioned that this particular attitude is probably the most paradoxical one. It relates to the previous two. Staying in the present moment actually leads us to the outcome that we want to achieve. Letting go is the next one, and letting go simply means that we should not attach to our thoughts and experiences. It sounds strange, but it actually works. So you get a thought, and our first reaction is to just grab it and just make it more complex or put it in some context. Mindfulness says you should not do that. You should just be aware that thought appeared, and it will go, and it will the next one will come, etc., etc. So that letting go refers to that. Acceptance is another attitude, and it means that we should accept the present moment in ourselves, however it is and however we are. Trust is similar. It is trust in ourselves and our perceptions, feelings, and there are others' perceptions and feelings that might intrude our mental space, but we should actually, in time, we probably learn to differentiate between those. And patience is the last attitude mentioned here, and it is also very important, and it is related to non-striving, pretty much. So it means that we should accept that things happen in their own time. If we push something, if we force something, if we try to force something, we are again not in the present moment, because we are striving to make something happen. And we should just be aware of the fact that things will happen if we are doing what we should be doing. That is basically the message. And now we can get to some of the examples of formal exercises. Well, these two mentioned here, breathing and body scan, are the most basic ones. And I mentioned only loving kindness meditation exercise to develop empathy as other examples, which are a bit more complex and we will not go into here. I will only mention shortly about a few things about breathing. Why is the breath the basis of mindfulness practice? Because it is always with us. That's the simple answer. Our breath is always in the present moment. And with mindfulness, it is very important that we can focus on our breath, thus staying in the present moment when our minds inevitably wander away. That always, or most of the time, especially in the beginning, happens. And in the beginning, when we start practicing mindfulness, it is harder to keep your focus on the present moment, much more difficult. And there are various types or variations of breath count, breathing technique, that is called breath count, which actually helps us to keep us in the present moment. I will mention one of the examples on the following slide. You will see how basic the instructions are, really. With breathing, there's also, when we become a bit more proficient in our ability to be mindful and be present in the present, be aware of the present moment, we can just time our exercises. So we are breathing, we're not paying particular attention to our breath, we're not counting our breaths, but we're measuring time. How much time do we spend in the practice itself, in the exercise itself, And well, actually, if our mind wanders away, we can always use the count to focus it back. Body scan is also a fairly simple technique. It is instead of focusing on your breath, you focus on your bodily sensations. So start from, for example, your toes. This technique is usually done by lying somewhere, not sitting. Begin from your toes and scan your body sensations in your body all the way up to the tip of your head. You can maintain your focus on some part of your body if there's pain, for example, or something similar. So it's just as Kabat-Zinn said, purposeful attention to what's going on in the present moment. And here's one example of breathing, breath count. So now if I can just move those. Okay. The purpose of counting is this is instruction as it is. So look how simple this is. The purpose of counting is simply to focus the mind on the breath. Once your mind is focused on the breath, give up counting. So that is something that should happen in time. Any counting should be done mentally. Do not make any sound when you count. And now, while breathing in, count 1, 1, 1 until the lungs are full of fresh air. While breathing out, count 2, 2, 2 until the lungs are empty of fresh air. Then while breathing in again, count 3, 3, 3 until the lungs are full again. And while breathing out, count again 4, 4, 4 until the lungs are empty of fresh air. Count up to 10 and repeat as many times as necessary to keep the mind focused on the breath. So this is all you have to do. You don't have to know anything about anything. Just do this, and it, in time, with patience, the outcome arrives, the desired outcome. And here are the informal exercises. And informal exercises are nothing more than doing mindfully things that you are doing every day. So what does that mean? It means that you should be more aware and pay more attention to the details of any activity that you conduct during the day. And I have mentioned some examples here for indoor and outdoor activities. Indoors, while eating, while dishwashing, while brushing teeth, having a shower. Outdoors, taking a walk, standing in a queue somewhere. That can be pretty challenging. Being stuck in a traffic jam, of course, also. I will mention on the following slide, I will mention the instruction for mindful eating exercise. Here it is. This exercise should be conducted at least once a week during breakfast or lunch. The purpose is to consume your meal paying full attention to the food you are eating. Choose a quiet, relaxed area where to consume your meal alone. Remove all distractions, TV, books, newspaper, meeting notes, music, etc. Prior to beginning eating, observe, smell, and if possible, touch your food. Be curious about it, experience it as you have never done before, as if it is the first time you see it. Begin eating slowly, take a bite and experience the flavors on all areas of your mouth. Each area of the tongue is sensitive to different flavors. Chew it, noticing its pattern and consistency. Swallow the food and follow its path to the stomach and notice being fuller by one bite. Every other bite will be somewhat different. Experience these differences and fully enjoy your meal. This is also a word-for-word instruction. And as you can see, it is nothing more than paying closer attention to some of the details that we probably never pay attention to. And in the long run, it helps us become more mindful and stable and present focused. So why practice at all? Why try to be more mindful? Why try to pay closer attention to all the things we do on a daily basis? What is very interesting with mindfulness is that almost all of the studies, I don't know if I have encountered any study that doesn't have doesn't show the beneficial effects of mindfulness. There probably is, but the majority of the studies actually suggest that practicing mindfulness is very, very beneficial in many different ways. And I have categorized those beneficial effects here in 3 different categories: psychological effects, physiological effects, and behavioral effects. And I will just list them here. So some of the main psychological effects, there are more, of course, but these are the probably very important ones. Lower levels of stress and anxiety, improved mood, decreased negative rumination, greater cognitive flexibility, enhanced emotional stability, improved attention-related functions. This is basically a portrait of a perfect person, isn't it? So, I mean, very, very beneficial. Physiological effects also. Mindfulness practice is related to the increases in left-sided anterior activation, which is related to positive effects and improved enhanced immune function. Also, mindfulness practice related to amygdala deactivation, which suggests downregulation of negative emotion. So positive emotion on the one hand, negative emotion less on the other hand. Also decreased average daily cortisol levels. Cortisol is, of course, a stress hormone. Balanced breathing and heart rate. Increased immune responsiveness, and following all this, better overall health. And what is interesting with all these also behavioral effects is that, of course, the effects are greater with practice, but also in the short term, there are similarly beneficial effects. And here are the behavioral effects. So improved affect regulation, more flexible adaptive responses to events, ability to suspend or modify automatic behavior, reduced intake of addictive substances, which one might call automatic behavior as well. Sorry. Greater success on specific tasks, and also increased general productivity. So productivity in both professional and personal private contexts, as the effect of probably being more stable and more focused. And as far as I'm concerned, that was a short snapshot of what mindfulness is and what actually is beneficial about practicing mindfulness and about trying to be more mindful. And I would like to leave you with this image, which I think tells the same story as I did on the previous slides, and maybe even better. And the question that all of us should pose to ourselves is basically, are our minds full or are we mindful? And that is something that I wanted to leave you with here. Thank you very much.